Hello and welcome to the Pleasurepreneur podcast. This podcast will help you create what you desire in your business with pleasure. Whether that be calling in your ideal clients, making more money, or creating a balanced business life blend. I'm your host, Regan Fig, pleasure and business coach, published author of A Mother's Pleasure, wife and mama to 3 little wildlings. However you're choosing to listen to this podcast, ask yourself, how can I make this more pleasurable? And do just that. I acknowledge the custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded and produced, the Wadi Wadi people of Dharawal land. Now, let's proceed with pleasure. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I am coming to you from within my husband's car, parked up next to our little holiday cabin down the coast. It's 6:30 a.m. and so if you hear some birds or even maybe my children, you know why. I've been up since 5 a.m. I had a coaching call with my coach who is in the US, and so 5 o'clock coaching call is not out of the ordinary for me. I actually really love it, being up in the dark on my own, nice and peaceful. And so I'm making the most of this time by recording this podcast in here too, before we get up and at 'em for the day, you know? By the way, another reason why you want to make a full-time income and work part-time hours is so that you can have days free to whisk your kids down the coast after school one afternoon and still be able to have a bit of work time, still be able to get paid and spend most of the time holidaying with your kids. It's amazing. Talking about holidays, we've been given the green light to go away for a few nights, child-free next year, to attend a wedding, and I cannot wait. And I've already started looking for a dress. It's in April next year, so it's 5 months away? I've already started looking for a dress, and it actually made me think of something. I had a really funny thought recently after a couple of experiences I'd had. Not sure if experience is the right word, but after a couple of conversations I was a part of. Recently, I was attending an event, and towards the end of this great event, the organizer was sharing her offer with us, her captive audience. We were an online room full of warm leads and potential ideal clients. And she quickly shared a basic overview of the offer and briefly touched on a list of the features and then said, anyway, I'm not going to sell it to you. You're welcome to come and have a chat if you're interested. And not long after, one of my clients had shared with me that a potential client on a consult call with her had gotten to the end of the consult call, loved what she'd heard, and said she'd decided that she wanted to work with her. And my client told her she'd follow her up in a day or two. So she was believing that she was, doing her new client a favor by not seeming pushy or rushing her. Now, I'll come back to my dress shopping analogy and what I'd shared with my client when she told me what happened at the end of her consult call and my thoughts about, not being sold to at that recent event. So these experiences might not seem significant to you. There might not be anything that stands out to you here, but there are nuances I picked up on that stood out to me. Nuances that I've picked up on from my own selling journey and from coaching my clients to sell with pleasure, with ease and authenticity, So this is where you go from, I'm talking about selling with pleasure. It's where you go from a place of feeling uncomfortable as fuck selling, not wanting to seem pushy, not wanting to seem salesy, to a place where you have shout it from the rooftops energy and you see selling your offer as such a service in such a way that is really aligned for you. Okay, so now I'll illustrate these nuances for you, like I did with my client, bringing in the dress shop analogy, thinking about shopping for a dress for the wedding that's coming that I can't wait for. I said, imagine I went shopping for that new dress. I'm so excited for our trip. I've created time to be child-free, to go shopping. I've prioritized taking myself shopping even though I've got other shit to do. I know what kind of dress I'm after and how I want to feel in it. So I go to the handful of stores that I think might have the kind of dress I'm looking for. Now, when I get to the first store, it's closed in the middle of the day and there's a note out front because, of course, the owner doesn't want to come across as pushy or salesy. And because she was open yesterday and doesn't want to look like she's obsessed with making money, the note says, "I'm not going to sell my dresses to you unless you think you're interested in what you think I might be selling in store. Call me on this number if you think what I've got might be what you want, and I'll let you in." It sounds crazy, right? And look, this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but I really just want to illustrate the point here. Okay, so you're going to probably think like, gee, that's really unhelpful. Like, how am I supposed to see what they've got to offer, let alone try anything on and see if it's what I want? So you go to the next store and thankfully this one's open, but because the owner doesn't want to bother you or make you feel like you're under any pressure to buy, she doesn't make any eye contact or try and find out if she has what you're looking for. So, you kind of shop around, you find a nice dress from the rack, it fits, and because you're like me, you're like, thank goodness that was an efficient shopping trip. I found the dress I want. Now I can grab myself a quick kid-free coffee. But you get to the counter and the owner not wanting you to feel rushed or for her to seem like she only cares about money, she says, "Look, that's great, hun, but don't take the dress with you right now. What I'll do is I'll put it out back and I'll give you a call in a day or two and see if you really want it." Like, you would be perplexed and pissed off, right? Like, what the heck does a girl have to do to get any decent service around here? Okay, and so then the third store you go into, it's open, praise be. The owner is warm and welcoming and asks if she can help you find what you want. She's helped you find a dress that you love, that fits well, and has you feeling good. She brings you to the counter and rings the dress through, you scan your card, and as she's putting it in the bag, she's wishing you to have a fun time at the wedding. You are super thankful for her service and you're so happy with your purchase, right? Like, you're grateful that you've gotten the help you were looking for to get what you want and not to have to use any more of your precious time or energy. You don't have to be continuing to search for the dress. Like, you can now get to work getting excited about and planning the rest of your trip with your hubby. This is what it sounds like to me when coaches have potential clients in front of them looking for help to find what they're looking for, and we don't sell to them. When we hold back from selling, thinking we're being considerate or giving people space, we're actually making it harder for them to get what they came for. So just like my kind of ridiculous dress shopping story, your clients have already invested their time and energy. They're ready to say yes. They don't want to jump through hoops or feel uncertain. Ultimately, it's not their job to know how you can help them. It's your job to demonstrate that, and we do that through selling. So here's the one takeaway I want you to have. Selling is serving. It's customer service. Customer service is selling. It's simply about sharing what results you can help your clients create, what problem you solve for them, what solution you provide for them that they're looking for, so that they feel seen and supported. When you stop fearing the act of selling and start viewing it as an extension of your service, so much shifts. So you'll go from avoiding it to enjoying it, knowing you're helping them get what they want and need, just like me finding that perfect dress. And that, my friend, is what selling with pleasure is all about. So let's now take a step back and think about what this all really means for you and your business. If you're hesitant to fully sell your offer, if you're holding back like those dress store owners who doesn't want to appear like too eager or pushy, you're not just doing a disservice to yourself and your business, you're also denying your potential clients the opportunity to get what they're actively looking for: your help, your expertise, your solution. Imagine your client is in that dress shopping scenario, eager and ready, trying to find the right fit for her needs. And when you hold back from selling or hesitate to extend that invitation confidently, it's as if you're putting up barriers. So how do we move from the hesitation of store 1 or 2 actually, I don't even want to say the hesitation to sell. I want to say like the poor customer service from store 1 and 2 to the warmth and confidence and helpful service of store 3. We start by remembering this: selling is serving. It's an act of service to make it clear that your solution is available, it's valuable, and it's ready for them. This is where selling with pleasure comes in. It's about embracing the idea that selling can feel good for you and your potential client. Let's explore why selling feels so uncomfortable for us women in business and how to recognize if you're subconsciously holding yourself back. I'll share insights that will help you uncover the root of this resistance and show you how to redefine your relationship with selling to one that is more easeful and authentic. So let's look at the 3 reasons why selling feels hard, especially if you're a woman in business. And by the way, there's more than 3, but these are the top 3 that I have seen and experienced in my own journey as well as that with my clients. So for so many of us, selling brings up feelings of discomfort, vulnerability, and fear, especially fear of judgment from others. This isn't just in your head. It's rooted in a combination of cultural conditioning, personal beliefs, and the socialized stories we carry about what it means to be a woman in business. So, number 1 reason, like in no particular order, just tune in with what feels true for you. Maybe it's one of these, maybe it's 2, maybe it's all 3. Here is one of the reasons why selling feels hard, especially if you're a woman in business. Number 1, the fear of being seen as pushy or aggressive. We grow up being other-centric and internalizing the idea that being assertive, especially in a professional setting, can be off-putting. We're taught to be nurturing, agreeable, and accommodating. The act of selling, like putting yourself out there and asking someone to invest in you or your product, can feel like it clashes with those values. So we hold back, we soften our message, or don't offer our service as clearly or boldly as we could. Okay, number 2 reason why selling feels hard, especially if you're a woman in business, is perfectionism and self-doubt, and also a smoke screen, but I'll touch on that in a second. Have you ever had the feeling of like, who am I to sell this? Yeah, like we think we need more certifications, more experience, more time, more clients, more sales before we can truly deserve another sale. Perfectionism keeps us from fully showing up because we believe if our offer isn't flawless, we shouldn't be charging for it. And this leads to hesitation in promoting our services in a way that is really confident. This is also used as a noble kind of smokescreen to avoid the discomfort of selling. So when you know you could sell, but you tell yourself the who am I story, because that's easier and it sounds more noble to get behind rather than to just face the discomfort of selling something that you've got that's really valuable that you know others want. And I've been brutally honest and called a client or 2 out on this before. Like, let's get real with ourselves here. It might be very demure, very mindful, but it's not of service to you, your business, or your would-be clients who need your help. I am very close to launching the offering that has you create multiple 4- and 5-figure months as a coach or someone who shares their expertise through coaching or mentoring whilst leading a pleasure-filled life. So multiple 4- and 5-figure months, not in spite of enjoying your life, but because of it. As a pleasurepreneur, we know we don't have to sacrifice one for the other. And this is exactly what you'll learn and focus on in my 5-month group coaching container, the Pleasurepreneur Mastermind. So doors aren't open yet, but I'll be starting to share all the epic bonuses and cash off opportunities behind the scenes this week for those who are already inside on the waitlist. The sooner you get on the waitlist, the more bonuses you have access to, because I want to reward those of you who act on what it is you desire quickly. If you know next year is your year to up-level your business and start consistently bringing in clients and multiple 4 and 5 figure months in your business, this is where you need to be. Join the waitlist via the link in the show notes or head to reganfig.com/mastermind, where you'll find all the details, including Pleasurepreneur results shared from this current round. See you in there. Number 3 reason why selling feels hard, especially if you're a woman in business: the fear of rejection. There is an emotional vulnerability tied to selling that can trigger a fear of rejection. When someone says no to your offer, it can feel personal, and it's as if they're rejecting you, right? Not just your product or your service, but you, right? So this can make the idea of promoting yourself feel really intimidating, which leads to avoiding it altogether or just doing it, half-assed. And then you fulfill the self-fulfilling prophecy of, like, what if no one buys it? What if no one wants to work with me? You prove yourself right because you don't offer people the chance to work with you. Get your full ass behind what you're offering and give yourself permission to sell it. All right, so if you don't already resonate with those 3 points I just shared, here are the signs you're holding yourself back from selling and therefore holding yourself back from making sales, helping more clients, and growing your business. Here are a few signs that you know you're in this cycle of holding back. 1, you avoid direct calls to action in your marketing. So your posts are full of value and stories, but stop short of directly asking for the sale. You'll know that you're missing this call to action when people are telling you how inspirational you are, how inspiring you are, but they're not buying from you. Yeah. Number 2, you wait for clients to approach you. So you might think, like, if they really want what I'm offering, they'll reach out. Kind of like that first dress store that was closed with the sign up. You might also have some interesting rules about certain things need to happen before you sell. I know I used to be like this. Did I share this on a podcast recently? I think I definitely shared it with my email list. By the way, if you're not on my mailing list, you should be. I share so much gold in there at least once a week. You can go to reganfig.com/sign up. I believe that's where you'll find my mailing list sign up form. Okay, back to the signs that you're holding yourself back from selling. You're waiting for your clients to approach you. Or, like I said, you might have some interesting rules about what needs to happen first before you sell. For me, the story that I'm sharing with you now that I shared with my mailing list is I was chatting with a mum at Bush Kindy drop-off one day and just got chatting and asked her what she did for work and that kind of thing. And then she asked what I did for work, and I told her that I'm a pleasure coach, that I help women in business create more money and more clients and more pleasure in their businesses. And she'd said, oh, that's really interesting, because whilst she had told me what her profession was, she didn't tell me that she was also wanting to start a new business. And so right away, I had said, oh, that's so amazing. Why don't we have a coffee and I can tell you all about it? And she was like, great. So we set up a coffee date for the following week after we dropped our kids off. But so simple, so easy. By the way, when we had our coffee date that day, I was just planning on giving her information, getting to know what she was interested in. It wasn't an official consult call. However, she wanted to work with me. She signed up that day. She even paid me whilst we were at the coffee shop together. It was one of those really cool milestones in business, that's for sure. But I realized that in the past, I would have had these rules that we need to have a certain, a handful of other conversations and meetings. I had to build more rapport with her. I had to build more of a relationship before I could offer her my work. And I don't do that anymore because I see now how that is such manipulation. And ultimately, it's just putting time between what we both want. I want to help her. She wants my help. I want to grow my business. She wants to grow hers. So notice if you are waiting for your clients to approach you, or if you've got these kind of interesting rules that apply before you share your offer. Another sign that you're holding yourself back from selling: you feel uneasy talking about money or your pricing. So this discomfort can make you hesitant to share the value of what you offer. Yeah. Another sign, you downplay your own success and experience. So instead of presenting yourself as the expert that you are and the woman with the embodied experience that you have, you might be tempted to use softer language that doesn't fully capture your expertise. Another sign is you are procrastinating or busying yourself with a lot of anything but selling action. Yeah. If you have got a full calendar, a full list, a full day in your business, you're taking a lot of action and you're not creating any results. Number one, are you actually selling? Do you have any calls to action to invite people to work with you? Are you sharing what your offering is and inviting people to come and work with you? Yeah, if you are procrastinating or busying yourself with a lot of, like I said, that anything but selling action, that is how you know you are holding yourself back from selling, which leads me to my last sign that you're holding yourself back from selling, which is you are not creating the financial results that you desire. You aren't making the sales or the income you want in your business. Yeah, so chances are if you're not where you want to be financially in your business, if it is a long time between enrolling clients, if your income is inconsistent, that's a pretty good indication that you are holding yourself back from selling. So where do we go from here? We redefine your relationship with selling. So we start by shifting our mindset around selling, by recognizing that selling is not about being pushy or coercive. It's about being of service. When you sell, you're offering someone an opportunity to transform, to improve, or to upgrade an area of their life or business. And when you think of it this way, it becomes less about you and more about them, their needs, and the solution you can provide them. So I've got a piece of homework or a prompt for you before we wrap up that I want you to take away with you and play with. Yeah, it's a journaling prompt. So wrapping up here, I want you to get a pen and your notebook, and I want you to follow this exercise. I want you to, first of all, write down the story you tell yourself about what it means to sell. Ask yourself, where does this story come from? Not to blame anyone, but just for context. You might realize that you have been believing that selling is really pushy because one random stranger made a sideways comment one day, and you've been basing your business around not selling because of what this random stranger once said. Yeah, it's nice to have that context and be like, that's interesting. Why am I scaffolding my whole business and life around this random's comment? Okay, so you've written down the story that you're telling yourself about what it means to sell. You've gotten curious about where does this story come from? Again, for context, not blame. And now I want you to check in with, how does it make you feel? Ask yourself, if you believe that story, is it true? Might it just be a thought your brain has offered you that you've been unconsciously choosing to believe without questioning? Now you get to question it. Okay, so does that feel good for you? Does that thought feel good for you? Is there any upside to that story? Is it holding you back from selling? And if you don't believe it to be true, or you no longer want to hold on to that, then I want you to find the evidence of the opposite, right? So if your story is something like, everyone will think I'm pushy, find the evidence of the opposite of that. So find evidence of, say, others who are selling who you don't see as pushy, who you might even see as helpful or kind or generous. Yeah, that will start to untangle that ingrained wiring in your brain that everyone will think I'm pushy. Because you're like, look, here's evidence that people are selling and they're not pushy. Amazing. Or maybe you have the story that selling makes you obsessed with money. See, I'm already like kind of laughing at these. And I'm not laughing at the fact that maybe you might have these thoughts, because I do not doubt that like pretty much anything that you write down, I've probably also have. We've probably all grown up in the same society with the same like cultural beliefs and ideas. And so we all have a collection that are probably very similar, that I know are very similar, just based on my anecdotal evidence from myself, as well as all my clients I worked with. And so the reason why I'm laughing is because they now seem ridiculous to me. Like you get to a point where you've done this work and it seems really ridiculous, that it's actually kind of hard for you to try and convince yourself that that is an actual true story. Yeah. So I'm not discrediting this if that's what you're thinking in your mind, if this is what your brain is throwing at you. I'm not laughing at you or discrediting it. I'm laughing at me and how some of the ridiculous things I used to believe and say to myself that I no longer believe to be true. And so, yeah, one of them was that selling makes me obsessed with money. I love money. I do. And like, also, if you're obsessed with money, maybe there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, you get to decide that. Your opinion matters more than anyone else's. Yeah, but if your story is that, for example, selling makes me obsessed with money, then I want you to find evidence of others who sell, who clearly value, helping others or other kind of values, not just making money. Yeah. So then we flip the narrative, right? The stories that you have that are not helpful, that you don't believe to be true, that you want to shift so that you can sell to help your clients and grow your business. Tune in with those stories. What are they? You might have one, you might have a whole handful, you might have a whole list. That's fine. We can work with all of them. Now is the part where we do what I call flip your shit, right? It's where we are flipping the narrative. We are reframing the thought that you hear. I want you to try something in the opposite direction. Now, you'll know it's the right thought when you have addressed these two points here. You know it's the right thought when your body doesn't call bullshit, right? Like when your body can kind of be like, yeah, I can kind of get behind that. I can believe that. You'll know it's not the right thought if your body's like, and it like actually doubles down on like doubting, right? So it might be like, imagine a thought, something that might be really hard to get around. Like, today's going to be a $5 million day. Like, to me, nothing sparks in my body. My body is just like, okay, Regan, nice one. Yeah. So first of all, you know it's the right thought when your body doesn't call bullshit. And the second piece, you know it's the right thought when it activates your desire to move. Yeah, like you'll notice a little spark or an activation in your body of like excitement or like forward motion or expansion, or you might just sense your chest opening, your shoulders like going out and down. Like it might bring a smile to your face. It might just like, maybe create some little giddy butterflies in your tummy. Yeah, so you know it's the right thought when your body doesn't call bullshit and when it activates your desire to move. Yeah. So finally, I want you to come up with that reframe. So let me just recap. Oh my gosh. Let me just recap. No, we're going to recap. Okay, I need to eat breakfast. Okay, first of all, write down the story or the stories you tell yourself about what it means to sell that seem unhelpful. Second of all, where does this story come from for context, not blame? Check in with how does it make you feel? Ask yourself if you believe that story. Is it true? Yeah. If you don't believe it to be true or you no longer want to hold on to that thought, then find the evidence of the opposite. Flip your shit is next, right? So we are going to reframe the thought, try something in the opposite direction, ensuring that your body doesn't call bullshit and it activates that desire in you to move. Now, finally, I want you to ask yourself, right? What could be available to me if selling felt aligned, generous, and full of integrity? What could be available to me if selling felt aligned, generous, and full of integrity? I want you to step into that like realm of possibility, because that's what happens when you redefine your relationship with selling, when you learn to experience selling as pleasurable rather than pushy. This month, Jake, my hubby, and I celebrate 19 years together and 13 years married, which had me feeling like a swoon-worthy, loved-up free masterclass is absolutely required, which is exactly what I have created for you. It's called Swoon, and it's got nothing to do with relationship with your partner and everything to do with redefining and romanticizing your relationship with selling to one that is deeply connected, genuinely enjoyable, authentic and easeful. I want you to sell and to succeed and create the exponential income and impact you desire without the fear of being seen as salesy, without discomfort, without feeling apologetic as fuck. You'll leave this masterclass with a whole new perspective and a better improved skill set of selling that has you excited to sell and therefore selling more and therefore making more sales in your business right now. If there's one skill we absolutely need to make sales in our business, it's selling. And as a pleasurepreneur, of course, we do it no other way than with pleasure. Head to reganfig.com/swoon or click the link in the show notes and we'll see you there.